everyone, it's Mary with a passion for paper. I'm so excited to share with you my design team project for October for Losmimisarmoire. I made these beautiful scrappy notepads with a touch of elegance, and I used two of the October kits called Fragile and She, and you can find these beautiful printables in Losmimisarmoire Etsy shop, and I will link that below. So I made a set of three, and for these I used images from her beautiful kit. I chose two images of these lovely ladies from times gone by, and this one just has beautiful print script with some gorgeous blue flowers. So first we'll just take a look at each one, and then I thought we'd make one together on camera. So I just have an assortment of laces here. These are vintage laces from Lavish Laces, Jaizella's Etsy shop. And then I also mixed that with some other lace that I had, and some cheesecloth. And underneath that is layered a little bit of French book page extraordinaire, as I see under there. And then here's a page from the kit that I tore and just wanted to include this with a little lace trim underneath it. And then there is an image on the back, so double-sided printing with a little machine messy stitching there. And then here we have a coffee dyed vintage French, looks like a piece of an invoice, and this is from my own collection that I printed in coffee dyed. So it has those beautiful marks of the coffee and tea staining. And then another little scrap. And here we have a vintage French book page piece, which I always like to include in my notepads. So lovely patina along the edge of that. Some more coffee and tea dyed paper. And this is a page from the kit. I believe this is from the She kit, and it looks also coffee dyed, which is wonderful, and just beautiful script. And that is, again, double-sided, so you can see in the front and back. And then more coffee and tea dyed paper. And this is also been coffee and tea dyed. This is a page from a vintage French composition notebook. Here it says Mardi 9 December 1936. And I just love this little notebook. If you look really closely, you'll see it has all these tiny little squares, and somebody wrote their math notes in this book back in 1936. And I scanned this page and went ahead and coffee and tea dyed it. Here I'm including a Sam's Pool stamp from the old time vintage dates. And then this last page is really beautiful grungy coffee tea stained specialty paper, and you can see the lovely machine messy stitching across the top with these beautiful messy threads cascading down the side. And so there's the first one. Second one to take a look at. This one has the French book page where you can see it a little bit more here in the top. And then we have some more of the beautiful French vintage lace, some newer trim, and then a different vintage lace underneath. And again, some little scraps of paper. And I did feature two of the sample stamps here. I just love those on my scrappy notepads. Here's another tiny page of that French receipt, I believe, from my collection. This is the beautiful page from the Losmimisarmoire kit with this beautiful vintage lace from Lavish Laces. It's sewn onto the bottom of this page, and there is a double-sided image on the back. And then some more pieces from the kit. Coffee and tea stained paper. This is from the French vintage book page. And this is a beautiful image from the French invoice that I printed in coffee dyed. Has beautiful shading on there. And this is again from Losmimisarmoire's kit, beautiful flowers on this page on top of that lovely script. Some more hand-torn, beautifully aged and grungy paper. So you can write your own notes in here as well as see somebody else's beautiful handwritten script. And then look at those beautiful blue flowers. So pretty. And then on the back side, again, another gorgeous image, floral. And this is that beautiful grungy style with the messy sewing threads on the top. And then for the last one, which is a little different, I thought this would look so beautiful in a blue themed journal. We do have some more vintage lace on the top, and if you look real close, you can see through there some French words on the book page top. And this is a beautiful double-sided image. We have another piece of that French invoice that I printed and coffee stained. This is another gorgeous image from the She kit. And these are different flowers on the back and more of the beautifully grungy coffee and tea dyed papers. And this one, I love the patina on here. It's just got so many variations of color and places to write things or glue things. You could further embellish them. Just beautiful images from that kit. And basically I just tore down this side, and this might have been the edge. So I either hand tear them or ruler tear them for the most part. Sometimes I will cut with a scissor or a paper cutter. So there you have it, the 3 nostalgic themed scrappy notepads that I made with the beautiful printables from Losmimisarmoire. So I would like to go ahead and do one together. So I have a few pieces of paper. Just grab my stash here and pull it into the screen. And I like to just create with a whole assortment of papers. You see I have all different sizes here of torn papers that I was already using from Losmimisarmoire kit, and some more from that authentic French book that I printed. Here's another image from Losmimisarmoire, and then I have a whole bunch of these just beautiful strips, coffee dyed, that I just am getting ready to turn into a scrappy notepad. So this is how I tend to work. I do a lot of things in stages, so I'll mass make these. I see I made a mass make of little pages for a journal, and then I did some stamping on them. So these are all there, just stamped in various ways. And I have like a little stamping station here, which is a different desk than I'm at right now. So I just grabbed everything off of that desk and brought it here. I even will just stamp tiny little pieces like this to put in the scrappy notepads. I even have this piece of tissue paper that was coffee and tea dyed. I stamped that, could go in one, just all different things. This is some craft paper. This is lovely. This would make a really nice wide scrappy pad. So I have all different sizes of paper. Here's some really sweet, thin, tall, narrow ones. And I just love to do the coffee and tea dyeing in large batches and then bring them over, and then I do a lot of the stamping and then kind of move on from there. So I'm just going to choose one for the base, and it could be, you know, looking for anything if you have a certain size in mind, what you might want to put on the bottom. And then I just eyeball it and I turn down the top, and that's going to be the bottom piece. And then I basically just take other sheets of paper and mix and match as I go, kind of keeping in mind what I'm looking for. A lot of times I will tear the bottoms because I really like that kind of more scrappy look as opposed to the, you know, too many straight edges in a row. And then I like to just flip it over and tear it using the top now as my guide. And then I will start mixing in some different pages. And sometimes I like them to stick out a little bit. Other times I make them more even with the edges. I think this one I would tear down a little bit. Sometimes I like these raggedy edges to stick out, but I think that might be just a little bit too far out for the look I'm going for. So I'm just going to hand tear that. And I do like to hand tear it a lot of times to get a more jagged edge. If I wanted a smoother edge, I could use the ruler. I'm just going to tuck that in there. And then I really do love putting these beautiful digitals in here, so I just like to eyeball it. And then I'm going to rip it from this direction. So we can have another little layer here. And this is from a different kit, but very similar to the idea of having that lovely script, which I love. I think I'm going to rip it just a little bit more down the side here. And sometimes I'll just set it down and tear it that way. I just love this beautiful script. It makes the notepads look so gorgeous. Okay, so there we have some more pieces. Now I might want to put something with a date in here. I like this one. I might actually put this below. Kind of like the way that looks. And then I vary it. I always work from the bottom up using kind of a cascading waterfall idea. And I do like some things to peek out the sides. And when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking like, do I want it here? Do I want it here? Do I want it up here? There's just so many different places where it could go. And then I see I'm going to just put it right here. So that's really narrow. I think I'll go ahead and cut that off as opposed to rip it. And again, I do try to have double-sided prints so that you don't see the white. The other option would be to print it on a printer that could take coffee dyed paper, and then well, you could also just coffee dye the back of it. I like this too, but I want to put something in between those. Maybe something like, I like the color on this. I just want to tear it so it has that torn look. I'll tear it this direction. And I do want to make sure we can see some of that lovely script, so I am going to make it quite a bit taller. The other idea would be to even come up like that. That's so pretty. Kind of like that. And then I do like to think about the focal point, which is going to be the smaller pieces in the front, whether I want to do an image or just like a flower or some kind of a pretty focal point there. I'm going to go ahead and tear this down the side a bit. Oh, in fact, I might tear it a little deeper and see if we can see a bit of the script on the side. And that looks nice too. So I think I might do something like that. And I like all the different textures. That helps the visual interest. And I definitely need to include a French book page. So I'm going to pull one of the French book pages out. Ooh, I also have this lovely vintage ledger page that we could use. So this one looks fun. I think I'm just going to go ahead, see the beautiful coloring on these pages. And I'm just going to rip out a page here. And sometimes I put them this direction and sometimes I put them this direction. So I think for this notepad, I'm going to do a sideways one. So I'll just go ahead and tear that. And it looks like it's going to fit really well right there in front of that one. And then perhaps I could put this in. It's just so nice to have all of the different layers. And sometimes if I can see a little bit of those words peeking out the side, that is wonderful. And I will actually move it over even more so we can see the whole sentence. La haute direction. So that's beautiful. Okay, and then I just want a little something nice right in there. So I'm kind of intrigued about this little piece. This is actually the bottom of the piece that I tore off for that. And maybe what I'll do is tear this so we have a bit of a jagged edge. And then see if we could put this right in here. And we'll have a little bit of that blue theme going on. Like that. And then we need some French words for the top. And just going to tear off a nice little piece. And I usually always take this over to the sewing machine and just I sew it 3 times. So I have some nice messy threads come here. Then I sew this way, that way, this way 3 times. And then we also have the messy threads that hang off over on this side. And while I'm kind of getting it ready, I like to use these just little binder clips to make sure they all stay together. And that way when I take it to the sewing machine, there's no issues. So I really like that, but I also want to add a bit of lace. So here's a little piece of vintage lace, and I'm just going to go ahead and snip a piece off and take this part off so it won't be so curved. That makes it nice and flat when you get rid of the top. And this, a lot of times I will put some here and some below. Sometimes I let it hang over, and that way you can even see some of the French words underneath. And I think what I'll do is just cut it right in half and put a piece of it at the top here, and then a piece of it right at the edge here. I might even put it underneath there. Could put it there. I don't like that edge showing. I think I would do it right here. And then I will probably just trim the little edges off after I sew it. And there we have it. Another scrappy notepad ready to be sewn. So you can see they're just really fun to make, especially if you have a lot of pieces ready to go, and just keep them in a nice pile. And so I have, as you can see, just several pieces here, and I do sell these pieces in my Etsy shop, and I will post a link down below in the description box, so you could head over there and buy some as well if you'd like. Or just, you know, I'm basically making these, tearing them, and putting them into the coffee and tea dyed baths, and then you just have a stack ready to go, which makes it so much quicker and easier to assemble. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, have a wonderful time, and I'll see you soon. Bye.